Okay. So we are going to continue with the calculations related to trigonometric equations, where we need to find the general solution. In this case, we'll be looking at one which is in that form of, let's say they give you a coefficient and then it's sign, then there you have plus, it could be a minus, another coefficient cos of an angle being equated to something. And to generalize, we'll just say equals to 0. So an example would be this one. It may not look like it is same as that, but maybe let me just give you a few examples. Let's say they say 2, maybe they say sine of an angle plus maybe 3. It could be cos of an angle. They can equate it to -2 or -1, doesn't really matter that much, or it could be equated to 0. It still doesn't matter that much. Actually, it should be equated to 0. That is how it is. So there it could be a minus or it could be a plus. So how do you deal with this type of problems? This is what I'm going to show you. So this one that you are given, you may say it doesn't look like that. It does, because if you take this to the other side, it therefore becomes minus. So it's like you are given 3 sine of an angle minus 2 cos of an angle, which is equals to 0. Can you see it's in that format? So now you take this to the other side, it becomes exactly what you are given there, which is equals to +2 cos of an angle. See now, then this is where we take it from and continue with the calculation. So this is what I'm going to do. Because I've already worked it out for the purpose of saving time, and also because by now you already know how we do these things. It's just a new trick that you need to learn. Otherwise, other than that, everything should be exactly as we did on the previous lessons. So the most important part that you need to do is to make sure that you just have one trigonometric ratio. How would you do that? Remember, what you are given is 3 sine of an angle, which is equals to 2 cos of an angle. Why not divide both sides by a cos? Why would you do that? You strategically divide by cos so that with you doing so, you will therefore cancel this, you'll remain with just 2. But you do know very well that sine over cos is tan. So it's like you have 3 tan of an angle, which will therefore be equals to 2. Now let's detach this 3. So that means we will divide by 3 on both sides so that that cancels with that. And then you have your tan of an angle, which is equals to 2 over 3. So can you see? Now you have this simplified. Now you just do it the same way I was teaching you previously. So very quickly, let me just do it and say, obviously, a rough angle is what we'll be looking for, where you end up saying it will be equals to negative of, deliberately write positive there so that you don't forget. Then you punch it on your calculator. Trust me when I say you'll get a 33.69006753 degrees. You found your reference angle. And then you will therefore say tan is positive in the first and which quadrant? Quadrant number 3. Yes. Therefore, in quadrant number 1, obviously, in this case, it therefore means that angle will be equals to your acute reference angle, which is in this case 33.67. Because it's the final answer, you can therefore round it off. But most importantly, because remember it is the general solution that you are looking for, very much important that you state that, and also not forgetting that with k being the element of that. Then you are done with that part, and then you jump onto the third quadrant, where we know that in the third quadrant is 180 plus. I'm pretty much sure that you will therefore remember that is that plus that acute reference angle. You write all of that, then you that. You don't round it because it's not yet your final answer. Just write it as it is in full. Very much important. And then you just continue to say K, and then remember to say 180 because it's part of that equation. So you punch this and that on your calculator, you might find 2 and 3 point. Now you can round it off to 2 decimal places if it was specified to say correct to 2. Very much important times that. And then most importantly, you can therefore say with that K being the element of that. Bese or which means you are therefore done with this one. Very, very much important. Okay, so now let us jump on to this one. So the second problem they can see, solve for x if sine angle equals cos angle equals 0, not equals, but it's a plus in between. Okay, so that problem B, where you are given sine of an angle which is being added to cos of an angle whereby this is equated to 0, and where that theta it is the element of 0 degrees and 360 degrees. Yes, this is what they want you to work out. Most importantly, take one thing to the other side, and it would make sense to just take cos to the other side. Let's take cos to the other side. Remember, it will change because it is crossing. Then you divide both sides by cos. Strategically so, because you know that you want to cook a tan. So that means you have tan of an angle being equals to -1 in this case. Very, very much important on that one. Very, very much important. So this is what you are now getting, where you will therefore continue with finding the references. So now you see you are back to square, where you will therefore say that -1 into, you just say positive 1 because it is a reference angle that you are looking for. Whereby it is therefore equals to what? You will therefore get 45 degrees. Then you will say, based on the equation that you arrived at, you're looking for where tan is negative. So in which quadrants are we having our tan negative? It will definitely be quadrant. I will just remember if I do the cast diagram. So it will be 2 and 3. Yes, it should be 2 and 3, not 3 but 4. Yes, so that means in quadrant number 2, we do know very well that in that quadrant, that's where we are going to be having our 180 minus. You minus it by what? By that what is it? By that acute reference angle, where you will remember to do this thing of 180 degrees. Yes, then you end up having that and that. It gives you 135 plus K, and then you also have your 180 degrees with K being the element of an integer there. So I hope that part makes sense. And then now the second part of it, where we jump onto quadrant number 4, you do know very well that for quadrant number 4, that's where that angle will be equals to 360 degrees, where you minus, let's see, where you minus what? Where you minus that angle there. And then after, I'm just trying to verify if this thing is showing, because, wait, I want to verify if this thing, it is doing what it is supposed to do. Okay, I don't know why. So 360 degrees minus, it should be that reference angle. I'm just waiting for this image to save, and then from there, I will continue. It's taking forever. I don't know why. Oh, yes. Then the reference angle in this case, it is that 45. Then it means there we are having that acute reference angle, which is 45 degrees. But most importantly, remember, we will have to add this thing by k that we multiply by that, and then with k being the element of that. Yes, very much important that you include that. Very, very much important, because if you do not, then you are going to be in a big trouble. Now, if you remember, we have to simplify it, whereby we'll say that and that. What will that be? I think it will be 315 plus k 180 degrees there, with that k being the element of that. I'm pretty much sure that all these that I'm doing, it makes sense, honorable members. So just remember that this is an angle, it has to be degrees there. All that I'm doing, you are familiar with. It doesn't end here, because remember, they also wanted you to find the angle where this thing, it falls within this range of 0 degrees and 360 degrees. So we will therefore have to, you remember that table where we need to test with those k values. They can test with -2, maybe -1, 0, 1, and 2. And then for those values that falls within this range, or between that range, then that's when you will say it is those angles. And these are the angles, because I've already worked it out. Then you should actually, what is it? Just say angle is equals to, therefore, the angle is equals to 135 degrees, or 315 degrees. So that's how you would easily work it out. Let's see. I'm just curious to know if I should add on to what I've already done, or let's see. Nope. I think I've said enough. This should be enough for you to get tested on what I've done for today. Okay, then it's fine. I think I will leave it here. So remember, my aim is to make sure that I cover all these type of problems, so that whichever way it comes in an exam, you will deal with it decisively, so because we make sure not to leave a stone unturned, because you'll never know how it will come. You will just know that this is that type of a question. Name. And this type of a question, this is how we work it out. You do know how to work it out, but there is just one small thing that you are unsure of, and it makes everything wrong. Even though you know how to work it out, but because of that small thing, then looks like you don't. So that's why it's always best to do everything. You don't skip what is written in a textbook. Every word that is written there, it is written for a reason, and it is written for you to read. So you must read everything. Okay, I think I'll leave it here and say until we meet. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why, but every time when I have to run away or sign out. It doesn't want me to, it doesn't allow me to. I do not know why. It starts jamming. It starts jamming. Oh man, you can't jam. I need to run away. Now clicking on end, it doesn't. Okay, just disconnect.